Sometimes you get asked to do things that you wonder about, but this seems to be a very big honor, and I'm very much appreciative of it. Mrs. Longoria is an honored graduate at the University of Texas and received her JD from the University of Texas School of Law in 1979. She is a partner with the Houston law firm of Ogden, Gibson, Brooks, Longoria, and Hall, LLP. On January the 8th of 2013, she was unanimously appointed by the City of Houston and the County of Harris as the chair of the Port of Houston Authority, the leading economic engine for the greater Houston region. She is the first woman to hold this position in the 100-year history of the Port of Houston. She served as commissioner for 10 years before becoming its first female chair. She is the former vice chairman of the University of Texas System Board of Regents, where she chaired health affairs, and is a former board member of the investment management company overseeing the multi-million-dollar endowment of the University of Texas. She is also a founder of the Center for Women in Law and the Kay Bailey Hutchison Center for Business and Energy at the University of Texas School of Law. Awful good school. She received a Distinguished Alumni Award in 2013, which is an award granted to UT alumni who have distinguished themselves professionally and through services to the University of Texas. It is indeed a great honor and privilege to introduce you to my friend, my chairman of the Port of Houston, Janiece Longoria.
Thank you, Commissioner Meese. It is indeed my privilege to work with Commissioner Meese on the Port of Houston Commission. He is a man of great integrity, great intelligence. He has wonderful ideas, and we have a terrific partnership. So I am thrilled to be here at the Maritime and Petrochemical Outlook Conference. Congratulations to Michelle and Chad for another excellent conference, very well attended. Good to see everyone here today. You know, there's something about that introduction, I don't know what it is, that makes me want to say, hook 'em horns. And I guess my question is, are there other Longhorns in the audience today? And if so, please raise your hand. I see a few. Well, Roger Gunther, what is this? Well, he calls it a cup of water, but you can see it's my UT Longhorn hot cold beverage container. And the reason I carry it with me everywhere because I am a Longhorn to the core. But at the last Port Commission meeting, I acknowledged, I have to say, that I have come around and I have a great regard for Texas A&M University and Aggies because Roger Gunther is an Aggie, and he's doing an excellent job of running the Port of Houston Authority. So all you Aggies, raise your hands. And Roger, if you wouldn't mind coming up here for just a second, I have a little gift for you. At the last Port Commission meeting, I was embarrassed that I had, of course, at the board table, my University of Texas hot cold beverage cup. And I thought it was a little unfair since Roger is running the operations over there. So I have brought for him his very own Texas A&M hot cold beverage container.
Thank you.
Enjoy it in good health.
It'll be prominently displayed at the next Port Commission.
Okay, so we are also really pleased not only to be here, but to have Sylvia De Marucci here with us today. She's an official. She is an official with the Panama Canal Authority, and we offer congratulations to you for your centennial that you celebrated in August. I apologize I could not be there for that event, but we're planning to go back at the end of October and look forward to being with you. You know, it's really interesting that from a historical perspective, the Houston Ship Channel and the Panama Canal were being dredged at the very same point in history. And just as the Panama Canal celebrated its centennial in August, we will be celebrating our centennial this fall with a rededication on November the 10th of 2014. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the Centennial celebration, just so that you're aware of the kickoff event. On Saturday, we, Port of Houston Authority, are hosting, along with Promote Houston Ship Channel 2014, title sponsor ExxonMobil. Is Lynn Lackenmeyer here? Lynn, I thank you for your leadership on requesting that Exxon step up to the plate and become a title sponsor, and other industry stakeholders and sponsors to kick off the celebration. We're hosting the Centennial Family Festival at the Pasadena Bayport Cruise Terminal. It's going to be a great event, and if you look on your table, there is a piece of paper that describes the information. It is free to anyone that wants to come. We're hoping that you'll bring the members of your family. All you have to do is register on the website at Promote Houston Ship Channel 2014 website. The information is contained on that flyer. I'm very pleased to announce that so far we have 3,215 registrants for that event. We're going to have a great time. We're going to have lots of maritime professionals there, lots of maritime equipment. We're going to have tugboats, barges, fireboats, lots of exhibits. We'll have food, fun for the entire family. So please be sure to come. We all know that the Ship Channel Centennial is a significant milestone. And if you think about it, without that bold idea and the partnership that brought it to fruition, we wouldn't be sitting here today. We would not be at this Petrochemical Maritime Outlook Conference. And it's also stunning to imagine that because of the Houston Ship Channel, we now host the largest petrochemical complex in the nation, second largest in the world. We're very proud of that. So again, it's very great to be with you today at the 5th Annual Petrochemical and Maritime Outlook Conference. At the very first conference in 2010, the forecast for petrochemical and manufacturing industries along our channel was not particularly robust. It had been dampened significantly by the downturn in 2008. But now, today, growth in our port region is very robust, driven in part by the development of hydraulic fracturing to unlock natural gas from our nation's shale formations. Very exciting time to be involved in international trade and business growth at our port. So today, I will briefly discuss the factors driving our current demand, along with some of the exciting opportunities for growth at the Port of Houston and Port of Houston Authority. I'd also like to just briefly tell you about some strategic projects and initiatives that we're pursuing to assure that we stay at the forefront. So first, to current performance. Business through Port Authority facilities has been very strong in 2014. It has exceeded what was considered to be record performance in 2013. Steel and bulk cargoes have supported a solid 5% growth in tonnage at our facilities this year, and the month of July, now this is important, folks, the month of July recorded the highest tonnage in steel since 2008 at 844,000 tons. I think that deserves a round of applause. And container volume has seen a 4% increase in the number of loaded boxes year-to-date, driven by an increase in loaded imports. This has resulted for us in a better balance between our export containers and our import containers, which will make it more efficient for our shippers. Last month, our staff prepared a reforecast for 2014, which reflects a revised increase of 10% in cash flow for the year, exceeding $100 million. We plan to reinvest this cash in the infrastructure assets that we need to increase capacity to ensure that our facilities are ready to handle your increased cargo. Business today at our public docks is the strongest in our history, and our forecasts continue to trend upward due to a variety of factors. But the most important one being, I believe, an incredible staff that we have running the Port of Houston Authority. And I want to give a hand to Roger Gunther, our executive director, and his entire staff, including Ricky Coons from Trade Development, Charlie Jenkins with Channel Development, Lisa Ashley in Public Affairs, Jessica Shaver, thank you for all you do, Eric Erickson, our General Counsel, Marcus Woodring, who handles safety issues for us, Phyllis Sadoff, Olga Rodriguez on special projects. Did I miss any member of our staff who is here? Thank you, guys. Please stand. I want to give you a round of applause. They work hard every day and do a great job. Okay, so as you're all aware, the renaissance of the energy sector related to shale gas exploration and production is having a significant positive impact on all of us and on the economic opportunity that we're enjoying in this region. From our standpoint, it is especially having a significant impact on what we anticipate to be growing exports out of our facilities. The tremendous supply of natural gas has spurred billions of dollars of investment in manufacturing facilities in our region, especially along the Houston Ship Channel. According to a 2012 report by the Houston Port Bureau, we learned that local industry, many of you in this room, plan to invest about $35 billion in your infrastructure through 2015 alone. Earlier this summer, we announced that Enterprise Product Partners LP signed a 30-year lease with the Port Authority to construct the world's largest refrigerated ethane export facility at Barber's Cut, and we're very excited about that. And of course, thanks to the shale gas revolution, we're seeing a significant increase in manufacturing on our channel and on the U.S. Gulf Coast. We have a major surplus of ethane on the U.S. Gulf Coast, which is the raw material used for the production and manufacture of plastic resin. Our port already dominates plastic resin exports, accounting for 1/3 of the loaded containers that come out of the Port of Houston. Now, all of you are taking advantage of the competitively priced inputs and investing billions of dollars into new plastic resin manufacturing facilities for export. To date, 6 major plastic resin projects have been announced near the Port of Houston, all coming online between the fourth quarter of 2016 and the fourth quarter of 2017. Some of these companies have indicated they will triple their exports in the next 2 to 5 years. As an example, less than 2 weeks ago, ExxonMobil celebrated the start of construction for a multi-billion-dollar expansion of its Baytown complex to boost its capacity for manufacturing petrochemical products for export, most notably resins. It is already the largest integrated refining complex in the country, and when completed, Texas will be their largest polyethylene supply point in the world. Exxon has stated that their facility has been designated as an export machine. And other customers, including Chevron, Phillips 66, Sasol, LyondellBasell, Dow Chemical, and Formosa Plastics, are also investing in infrastructure and expecting export volumes to increase very significantly over the short term. This is exciting news for the Port of Houston and for the entire region in terms of creating jobs and economic opportunity. And we at the Port Authority are committed to doing everything, anything and everything necessary to accommodate increased container volume out of our port for all of our shippers. Now, in addition to this shale gas revolution, which has really increased our opportunity for growth, we have another factor that really works in our favor, and that is our population growth. The population growth of the Houston region is growing faster than any other region in the country. In fact, Our regional population is expected to double over the next 20 to 30 years. And of course, regional population growth is what will drive increased consumer demand and the growth of containerized cargo coming across our docks. And finally, of course, in addition to the shale gas revolution, which is increased manufacturing, will increase exports, we've got population growth that will draw more imports. We have the benefits of the expanded Panama Canal, which no doubt will impact the opportunity for imports into our port and exports out of our port through the Panama Canal. We know that it will have a significant impact on the Gulf region as a whole. And it's interesting to note that container trade between East Asia and Houston through the Panama Canal was practically non-existent 1 decade ago. But through the diligent efforts of our trade development staff, we now have 3 regular services that go all water. This has happened just in the recent few years. Through the Panama Canal to East Asia, we have Costco's Gulf of Mexico Express, Hanjin Shipping's all-water Texas service, and CMA CGM's PEX 3 service. And this trade currently accounts for 25% of our imports. With the expansion of the canal, we're working to bring additional all-water service through the Port of Houston. And I want to specifically thank Ricky Coons, who heads our Trade Development Department. You have done a marvelous job in attracting new lines through our port, Ricky, and I know that you're going to do great things moving forward. So thank you. With the renaissance of the energy sector, there is no doubt that increased manufacturing and growing exports will continue to be a large driver for growth through the Port of Houston. Many of you in this room have expressed concern, either publicly or to us privately, and you've asked if we at the Port of Houston Authority are going to be ready for the significantly increased export volume that you anticipate in the short term. So let me address that. We are very diligently preparing for the rapid growth that lies ahead. To meet your demands and your growing cargo needs, we plan to invest over $1 billion in the next 5 years in expansion and improvement projects at our facilities so that we are poised to handle any increased volume that comes through our facilities. These investments include both dredging projects, waterside projects, and capital infrastructure on our docks. So let me start with the waterside, dredging. Dredging is already underway alongside our container terminals, where we are increasing the operating depth of our channels by 5 feet and widening our channels to accommodate larger vessels. We owe the very rapid opportunity to dredge these facilities to Charlie Jenkins and the channel development staff for all of their diligent efforts and their work with the Army Corps of Engineers. Congratulations for getting that done so quickly. Orion began the project to dredge the facilities at Barber's Cut, and they will be complete. That dredging project will be complete before the end of the year. As soon as that's completed, they're going to move over to Bayport. We anticipate that the dredging at Bayport will be completed by the summer of 2015. Both projects, Ms. Marucci, will be ready long before the opening of the expanded Panama Canal, so we're very pleased about that progress. You also may be aware that we at the Port of Houston Authority, although it's a federal responsibility, we are funding the $80 million cost of that dredging in its entirety so that we can be ready and that there will be no lost opportunity. Our region could not afford to wait for these improvements. So now let me talk about, I've talked about the waterside and our dredging projects. Let me talk about our landside projects. We are heavily investing at our terminals to assure that we have up-to-date, up-to-the-minute infrastructure. We will be investing $700 million over the next few years at Barber's Cut, our first container terminal, to assure that it remains busy and productive. And the goal of that reconstruction is to increase efficiency, handle larger vessels, and double the container handling capacity of the existing terminal in its current footprint. The first phase of redevelopment of Barber's Cut is well on its way. with the recent completion of the construction of 1,300 feet of wharf. We've also purchased 4 new Super Post Panamax cranes that are currently being assembled. They should be delivered early next year. These new cranes have a reach of 22 boxes across, which is large enough to handle the biggest Panamax vessel in the world. We also recently completed the redevelopment of 10 acres of high-density container yard in Terminal 5 in order to increase the capacity as we prepare for growth. You can see from this slide that it is already well utilized, and a similar 10-acre area is already under construction in Terminal 4 as we continue to phase the redevelopment of Barber's Cut. Much needed capacity is gained as we reconstruct what was once pavement suited only for wheeled vehicles so that containers can be densely stacked on Terminal 4. Now on to Bayport. We also continue to expand our Bayport container terminal to meet the demands that are forthcoming, and we do that on an as-needed basis. Last year, we were awarded a $10 million transportation investment generating economic recovery grant for the expansion of the next berth at this facility. We have built out 3,300 feet of wharf. This Tiger grant will fund another 700 feet of wharf for a total of 4,000 feet. At completion, Bayport will have 7,000 feet of wharf space. I would like now to turn to some other opportunities that we are exploring. In addition to the capital investments in our channels and terminal infrastructure, we are actively promoting growth of import cargo through our facilities to make our port more attractive to shippers. As our population base continues to grow and transit through the Panama Canal becomes more cost efficient, greater prospects and opportunities exist for more and larger distribution facilities here in our region. Our staff actively promotes the development of distribution centers along with import retail containers through our port, and again, they're doing a marvelous job. And as you can see from that slide, we in this region have an incredible strategic location from the standpoint of the reach of a large consumer base. We reach almost 141 million consumers within 1,000 miles of the Port of Houston Authority, which is good news from us from a strategic standpoint. And as a result, according to the July edition of Global Port Tracker, loaded imports at Houston are currently experiencing one of the strongest import growth rates in the country. The growth in imports has resulted in a near perfect balance of import and export containers in 2014. It used to be that we were 60% export, 40% import, which is not perfect from the standpoint of a shipper who would like to have empty containers available for the shipping and export of their material. So this is definitely going to help us now that we're achieving this balance to utilize making transport out of our port more efficient for our shippers. And we have some other priorities. I don't have time today to mention them all, but our plans for the future have to include input from all of our port stakeholders. That includes customers, it includes our industry partners, surrounding communities, our elected officials. And I want you to know that we at the Port of Houston Commission are very responsive to the issues that you bring to us and to your needs. With this in mind, we are evaluating opportunities recommended by our stakeholders, including extended gate hours, common chassis pools, intermodal rail options, and heavyweight corridors, and we will strive to implement any of these solutions where we can. We also understand and appreciate the critical need for open and fluid access to road, highway, and rail networks, and adequate federal staffing and resources at our facilities to support growth. Your port has never been more committed to ensuring that you are well served today and in the years to come. In line with this priority, staff and I are working on an initiative to lead a transportation coalition dedicated to promoting key policy changes in transportation projects that support efficient freight movement in and out of the Port of Houston and through our region. The Port Authority, our elected officials, and industry leaders, and all the stakeholders in this room must continue to work together to ensure that our port and our transportation infrastructure are aligned sufficiently to lie for the increased cargo and opportunity that lies ahead. So in conclusion, we are ready for what lies ahead. We're proactive. We're looking for opportunities to assure that our region continues to grow and prosper. The wide variety of projects in which the Port Authority is involved reflects our very deep commitment to supporting commerce at the Port of Houston. The port stimulates much of this region's economic health, and as far as I'm concerned, stimulates much of the state's health and is very important to the nation as a whole. It is our responsibility collectively to continue to manage this asset for the benefit of our region. Our message is clear. Because of our continued innovation, customer support, and infrastructure investment, the Port of Houston is ready to accommodate increased customer cargo today, tomorrow, and into the future. Thank you so much for your attention today.